wrong end of the rainbow, where broken-hearted dreamers come to find.
My friend, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And I have to say right off the top, my apologies that we could not do this in person. A lot of running around going on. And, of course, you've got the Horseshoe Tavern show going on, too. Just so glad that we can talk, and so glad you're here in Toronto, and so glad that you've got new music out. Congratulations on all your success, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And, man, what a pleasure it is to be in Toronto. And I guess this is an unbelievable surprise to get to play the Horseshoe first go-around. It's great.
Yeah, well, the Horseshoe is iconic. You know, one of the great things that have been going on with Toronto lately is Toronto, years ago, wasn't so much as a country music scene, but I would say, especially for our Canadian artists, for the last 5-6 years, it's really exploding. We have a lot of country artists who come from Toronto, a lot of country artists performing in Toronto. You're now just part of that legacy, my friend, too. So, again, thank you so much for coming to Toronto and performing here.
Oh, man, it's so great. And, yeah, I'm just tickled to be here, and we've already made quite a few rounds the last couple of days and looking forward to tonight. So,
well, you know, that's one of the reasons why, I wanted to talk to you about, your homegrown roots and everything else. And, of course, you were with a band and now being able to perform your own music. The love of music, the love of country music, where did it all begin for you?
Well, when I was a kid growing up in East Tennessee, we had all kinds of music on the radio, but when you would go into any general store or restaurant or something like that, there was always country music playing in the background, whether it was, Alabama or Hank Williams Jr. or Ronnie Millsap, so that was always in the background, no matter what you were listening to in your, tape deck at that time.
Love it.
It was, that was sort of the background music for whatever we were doing. So, and then as I became a teenager and started playing guitar and kind of getting into music more, I really dove harder into sort of classic country and also, a lot of my background came from gospel music growing up in the small church that I did in Tennessee, and my grandmother sang in quartet, so I paid a lot of attention to that stuff too, so it kind of is multifaceted, I guess.
But you had to, of course, learn how to play instruments, learn to write. When did all that start developing too?
Well, I guess it starts developing from the moment you write your first song. So, I'm in high school and listening to songs that I like on the radio and trying to emulate those songs, I guess, or my favorite songwriters anyways. But once you get to Nashville, I was in my early 20s, and then that's when I really started realizing the art of crafting a song, from beginning to end, and especially on Music Row where, stories are told in country music. So it's, a lot of times there's co-writes that go on, so you get with other writers and collaborate, and you learn a lot from them. And I got the opportunity early on to be able to write with some of my heroes. And what's interesting is that a lot of the stuff that I grew up loving, I didn't know who the songwriters were, but when I got to Nashville, all of a sudden I'm writing with the guy that wrote this huge Alabama song, and it's mind-blowing to be able to learn from them and figure out how to craft a song,
Now, one thing I want to point out, though, that it doesn't matter if it's country, it doesn't matter if it's pop, it doesn't matter if it's hip-hop or whatever. Nashville truly is the place to be if you want to be a successful songwriter. I will put that right out there. But you said that you went to Nashville. Was this a conscious move to go? Did you know at some point, hey, I want to be a performer, I want to be a songwriter, the only place I can do it at is Nashville?
100%. And I knew that, in other genres, there are other outlets, L.A., New York, whatever it might be. But for me personally, it was an easy choice because, I'm from Tennessee, and it was maybe 2.5 hours from the town I grew up in. And but yeah, was it a conscious decision? 100%. I didn't move to Nashville to do something and then fell into music. It was me moving to town with a mattress and a guitar, and that was it. So I was 100% tunnel visioned and got a job at the hosting at the Bluebird Cafe. That's the first thing I did when I moved to town.
Wow.
So and it, you know, reminds me a lot of the Horseshoe, you know, that the correlation. But so yeah, it was. There was no question why I was moving to town. It was for that, and I was as green as you could be. But you know, it's been an interesting run, that's for sure.
But you ended up with a certain band. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah, that guy Jamie Johnson. We go way back. We probably met almost 20 years ago now. So,
how did that come about?
So, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was playing a whole lot on Lower Broadway in Nashville, you know, in town, and there were a handful of bars there at that time. They're not anything like it is now, but back then, you know, you had Tootsie's Orchid Lounge and Robert's Western World and, you know, places like that. So I'm playing those 3 or 4 nights a week, and Jamie had just moved to town. He would come to Tootsie's or wherever it might be that I was playing, and to hear him tell it, he goes from door to door to places trying to sit in, and nobody would let him sit in, you know, with their bands because they didn't want to give up their spot. Well, you know, I was more than happy to let an old Southern boy sit in and sing a song with us. And after I heard him the first time, you know, it was like, well, yeah, anytime he shows up, he gets to sing, you know. So fast forward 12, 13 years, and you know, Jamie is the Jamie Johnson that we know today, and I ran into him at a Music Row party, and he said, you know, he didn't say this verbatim, but you know, the idea was he's going to return the favor and have me come out and share his stage now. So that's sort of how that came to be.
But of course, it's great being with a band. It's great working with other people and stuff. But you know, always, I believe the goal is you have a voice. You have a sound, you have a message, you have to get your stuff out there, and I'm assuming that that's what this new album represents.
Absolutely. So I never stopped. You know, I do play with Jamie, and I've frequent with other bands and do different things, but my goal from the start was I write my songs, and I'm going to record my songs, and fortunately, thankfully for Jamie, I've had a great outlet the last, 8 to 10 years. By opening his shows or whatever it might be, to be able to showcase my music. And so I just decided a long time ago, hey, if I have the ability to do it, I'm going to continue to write songs and make records until it's not, I don't have the chance to do it anymore. So this is since I've been working with Jamie, this is the 4th album that I've done. And actually this record is on Jamie's imprint record label. So. Oh,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, for folks, we've been talking about the album. What's the album called, and what is there a theme behind it?
There is. The album is called Ramble, and there's a song, well, I guess the title track of the album is obviously Ramble, and it's funny story. That song came from, when you're trying to write songs and you write so many days a year, trying to find ideas can get a little tricky. And I'm writing with a buddy of mine. His name is Ricky Young, and he's one of the lead singers in a band called the Wild Feathers. And so I'm writing with him, and we're trying to come up with an idea, and he's got a tattoo on his arm that says Ramble. Well, we've all heard songs that have the word ramble or rambling man or ramble on, but I wasn't familiar with just a song that was just very clearly ramble. So I saw that tattoo, and I was like, let's write that, And he says, sure. And then we went to lunch, and then that was it. We didn't write anything that day. So I ended up sitting around a fire, writing that song over the next month or two. And it became the title of the album because it sort of has got a common theme. There's a lot of songs on the record about traveling, being on the road, riding in a bus, so on and so forth, and just rambling about. So that's kind of where that general idea for that record came.
What's the latest single right now?
Right now, we're working a song that's a duet with Jamie Johnson, and it's called Wrong End of the Rainbow. And, we're excited to have that one out, and it's fun to hear Jamie. He doesn't record a lot anymore. It's been probably 10 years since he's put a record out, so it's fun for folks to hear him, do something new. So.
find. Nothing but a big old pot of fool's gold out here on the wrong end of the rainbow.
You know, it's going to be a busy summer, especially when it comes to country music. I'm assuming that you're going to be hitting some festivals and crossing fingers. Hopefully you're going to be back in this part of the world.
That's the plan. You know, this is the front end, and we're trying to really work on a lot of other dates, and we're excited to get that schedule out as soon as possible. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the summer, and really looking forward to seeing some sunshine up here in Canada.
I promise you we will have it when you come back. You have my word on that. But in the meantime, to know where you are across North America and anywhere around the world, social media is the place to go. Where do we go to follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. ChrisHennessee.com, and we'll post the dates there, and you know, any of the social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, and that stuff. And honestly, you know, if anybody's interested, go to JamieJohnson.com, and then wherever his show is going, that's where I'm going to be. We unfortunately with him, we don't get north of the border that often, but we do occasionally. So we're looking forward to that next time.
Definitely. Hey, look, again, my apologies we couldn't hook up in person, but let's try to make it happen the next time you're around this scene. Again, congrats on the new music, and looking forward to everything else you're doing in 2019.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Take care, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.